Thomas was enjoying his life on the Branchline. He was working hard, and he had developed a sense of maturity, though he had become rather cocky and arrogant during this time. One night, he was bragging to Annie and Clarabelle. "Honestly, this Branchline would be in shambles without me. I think it'd be in shambles if no one was running it." "Well, nobody could run this Branchline like I could. I make sure that everything runs on time." "Well, after all, Gordon and Henry can't go down this line." "What about James or Edward?" "Edward is quite literally the only engine I trust to run this Branchline. Wouldn't want James derailing on the branch." "Now that's rather cruel." "Not really. Didn't you nearly derail when you were trying to pull some trucks?" "That was... Ugh, never mind, I'm going to sleep." Thomas, Annie, and Clarabelle went to sleep. The next morning, Thomas was at Elsbridge waiting for Henry. "Tch, where is that Henry? He should have been here 5 minutes ago." "About time." Where have you been? "I had trouble. I've waited 5 minutes for you. Time waits for no one, and I can't wait for you, Henry. My system's all out of order. Nobody understands me." "Do you know what's wrong with you, Henry?" "No, please tell me, Dr. Thomas. I'd love to hear your diagnosis on something you know nothing about." "You need exercise." "What?" "Yep. James and Edward are much slimmer than you. If you were their size, you'd probably be much more useful." This coming from Mr. Extended Side Tanks. "I need to hold extra water." "Why, because you can't travel a mile without needing to refill on water?" You know what? I don't have time for this. I have to try and make up for lost time." Thomas started off quickly. Too quickly. "Huh? Wait, Thomas, wait!" But Thomas wouldn't wait. He sped off before the guard could get on board. "Come along, we're late enough as it is." "I've lost my nice guard. I've lost my nice guard. Thomas, we need to stop. I said no time to stop." Just then, Thomas saw a red signal. He came to a stop, furious at the next delay. "This just isn't my day, is it?" "Thomas! What?" "We left Clarabelle's guard behind." Wait, what?" "My guard was left behind because you rushed off." Oh dear." Just then they heard footsteps. Coming into view was the guard, panting and out of breath. Thomas! Whoops. "You left me behind. I walked miles to get here." Sorry, I didn't mean to. Just think what would have happened if I let you continue onwards without me." "I'm sorry. I guess I was in a rush." "Let's just continue onwards." The guard got into Clarabelle, and Thomas continued onwards. In the evening, Sir Topham Hatt came to visit him. "Good evening, Thomas." "Good evening, sir."
"I heard about today."
"Oh, you did?"
"Yes. How could you be so irresponsible as to leave your guard behind?"
"I'm sorry, sir. I really didn't mean to."
"That's besides the point. You need to be focused, Thomas. We can't have you leaving the guard behind. If it happens again, I'll have Edward run the Branchline and leave you back in the yards. Understood?"
"Yes, sir." Sir Topham Hatt walked away, leaving Thomas crushed. The next day, he was waiting at the junction for the mainline connection. He was still upset about what Sir Topham Hatt had said. What if he does take away my Branchline? Hello, Edward. What are you doing here? Henry wasn't feeling well, so I offered to take his train. Oh, isn't James back yet? They're still working on repairing him. Oh, I see. Anyways, I heard about your argument with Henry, and leaving the guard behind.
You did, huh? Yes. Now I know you two got into an argument. However, you can't let those things distract you from your work. You left the guard behind, which caused further delays. I understand, Edward. I promise to be more careful and wait. That's the guard's whistle. I'd best set off.
Thomas set off with Annie and Claire about. He was feeling confident as he made his way down the branch line. However, he began to feel thirsty. Driver, how are we doing on water? Not good. We're running low. Bother. Maithwaite has a water tower, but that's not for another few miles. Just then, Thomas prepared to pass over the viaduct when he came to a sudden stop. Great, now I'm out of water. Here, this is great actually. What do you mean? Come on, Harry, we're going fishing. What? Yeah, we'll get water from the river and put it in your tank. That sounds like a bad idea. It's either that or we leave you here. Ugh, fine, but hurry up. Thomas's driver and fireman tied some rope to a bucket and lowered it into the river. They lifted it from the river and poured the water into his tanks. Once Thomas was filled, he set off. At first, he managed well. However, as he left Hackenbeck, he felt an odd sensation. Oh, something feels off. Don't be so finicky. The river water has been fine until now. Well, something feels wrong now. Thomas continued onwards, still feeling uncomfortable. As he approached Farquhar, there was a hiss of steam. Yah! What's that? Thomas came to a stop at the station. What's happening? I don't know. I think we should... What's going on here? Oh, hello, sir. What are you doing here? I had a meeting with the quarry manager. Now what's wrong with Thomas? There was this jet of steam and sharp pain, and now I feel awful. I see. Should we check the tanks? Good idea, John. The driver, fireman, and Sir Topham Hatt climbed on top of Thomas. The driver looked in first. Harry, look inside Thomas's tanks. Harry climbed up onto Thomas and looked inside. When he came back down, the two men chuckled. What is it? What's wrong? Have a look for yourself. Honestly, what could be so funny that... Did I just see fish? Fish? Must have come from the river water we got. Well, we can't let those fish go to waste. We'll fish them out and have ourselves some fish and chips. I'm sorry, what? Sir, that's literally a health hazard. It's been in my tanks. No matter, Thomas. We'll be back in an hour. Oh wait, don't just leave me here. But Sir Topham Hatt, the driver, and the fireman had left, leaving Thomas in his shed. An hour later, they returned. Those were some wonderful Thomas's fish and chips. Sorry, Thomas. It's fine, sir. What's wrong, Thomas? You won't take away my branch line, will you? Why would I do that? Well, after this latest slip-up... Sir Topham Hatt smiled at Thomas. Thomas, I wouldn't take away your branch line for this. The incident wasn't your fault. You weren't to know there were fish in your tanks. I'm actually impressed. Despite the pain, you pressed on. Not many engines would be able to do that. Thank you, sir. Now go fill up on some proper water. You have a train to go back to Ellsbridge, don't you? Yes, indeed, sir. Thomas left to take his next train. He was happy. He still had his branch line, and he had redeemed himself in Sir Topham Hatt's eyes.